have been talking about commas used to separate different kinds of phrases. So more such phrases. We've been talking about the parenthetical phrases. Now, informally, we have learned about the modifying phrase or the modifier, and we have said that when we have a modifying phrase, we have to place it in a sentence, we have to place it between two commas. Let's give it a formal name. It is known as the appositive phrase. Let's read first. To separate an appositive phrase. So what is an appositive phrase? A phrase that describes the subject or provides additional information about the subject. So describes the subject or provides essential information about the subject to tell us a little bit more about the subject. So in a way, describing a little bit more. That is known as an appositive phrase. We have to put this phrase between two commas, and this comma is known as the appositive comma. So a lot of technical detail, but remember the appositive phrase is the modifying or the modifier phrase. Let's take a look at some examples. Adele, both talented and beautiful. So this is the appositive phrase separated by two commas. Attracts large audiences with her powerful singing. The main idea is Adele attracts large audiences with her powerful singing. Another example, her voice, loudly and clearly. Now, what is being described? The voice, how it resonated through the hall. So, loudly and clearly is describing the voice. Her voice, loudly and clearly, resonated through the auditorium. So, once again, an appositive phrase describing the voice and how it resonated. China, one of the most powerful countries. Some more information about China. Has a population of over 1.3 billion. So the main idea is China has a population of over 1.3 billion, but another added description, one of the most powerful countries. So this part cannot be ignored either. Very important information is conveyed through appositive phrases. We have to keep them between two commas. To separate participial phrase, a phrase starting with a participle. Now, let's understand this kind of a phrase better. The dog, hearing his master's voice. The participial phrase has an action or a verb going on in it. So here what's happening? The dog, hearing his master's voice. So this is something more about the dog. But this phrase just has the verb that's happening. Hearing his master's voice. And that's an important part, but we have to keep it within two commas. Main idea is the dog barked and ran to the door. But how did that happen? Why did he do that? Important information. Hearing his master's voice. So this is a participial phrase. It has a verb in the phrase. Numbed with shock, she looked as if she was going to faint. Now, numbed with shock is the verb, the action going on. It's coming right in the beginning of the sentence. So this is a phrase. This is an introductory phrase. And this is an introductory participial phrase or a participial introductory phrase. Just get the idea. You don't have to remember this name, but you have to understand what a participial phrase is. A phrase which has an action. Now, if it is come at the beginning of the sentence, it becomes an introductory participial phrase. Numbed with shock, she looked as if she was going to faint. So we have to keep all the rules intact. Hearing that her father was in hospital, a participial phrase coming right in the beginning. So an introductory phrase which is a participial phrase. Allison left the school immediately. So the person who left the school immediately, Allison, who hearing that her father was in the hospital, Allison left school immediately. So now we are getting so good at defining phrases, understanding the kinds of phrases, and also linking them to our earlier knowledge of which is an introductory phrase, which is a modifier, which is a parenthetical phrase. So these are good rules to keep in mind. We are focusing on how to use the comma.